Mr. Anthony Hilebo, a legal practitioner and PDP member, joins us virtually on the program. Mr. Hilebo, good morning and welcome to the Morning Brief.
Good morning and thank you for having me. And good morning, Nigeria.
Let's begin with what is topical, especially in the last 24 hours. And many talking points really would typically come through from the Minister of the FCC's regular media chat, and he had quite a lot to say. But one of which has gotten many talking is his view that it will be difficult for the PDP to win the presidential election in 2027. And some would say unsurprisingly so, because Mr. Wike had been unequivocal about campaigning for Mr. President in the 2027 elections. But how are the PDP members themselves receiving this particular new disposition of Mr. Wike, who was, by the way, present at the declaration of Senator Sandy Ono as the presidential candidate of the PDP just about 2 months ago, I believe?
Thank you very much. Like you said, it was the ministerial briefing of the FCT, and I think it was right meeting, wrong comments. At a ministerial briefing of the FCT minister, I'd expect that he'll be telling me the infrastructural development he has brought to the FCT, dispelling concerns FCT residents have about lack of water, the roads around the surrounding neighborhoods of the FCT. The only roads that are good in the FCT are the city center. If you go to Lugbe, they have terrible roads. If you go to Yaya, Maraba, all the ancillary cities have very terrible roads, despite the fact that the FCT itself has so much money having been taken off the TSA. That's that for that. And his comments towards the lack of preparedness of the PDP to challenge the president, for me, is more of a report card. He's probably trying to tell the president that, look, I've done the work that I promised you I would do. PDP will be unable to challenge you in 2027. The fact that we keep touting that Sandy Ono is their presidential candidate. Sandy Ono that could not win Cross River governorship election is the person that they want to bring to challenge. And it's surprising to me that a Nyesom Wike, who was given almost all the major opportunities to become minister, the backing to become governor of Rivers State by President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, does not see it fit to go and support someone who gave him so much. It's really telling on what will happen tomorrow when people support people. It's sad. And he also knows that this government has failed. I was raising a comment that, look, since 2023, nobody can tell me one hospital President Bola Tinubu has started and finished in the entire country since 2023. One hospital. And this is in terms of healthcare, not talk of one university. And, I said that to someone, and they started telling me about the innovations that he has done. I said, no. Every president comes in with legacy projects. The only legacy project that President Bola Tinubu is the one that famous, which is Lagos Coastal Highway, which was given to a company which is said to be someone that his son has interest in. For me, that doesn't reflect a president that is concerned about the country. This is a Nyesom Wike who said that the APC was a cancer. So why are you now supporting a cancer? Because you have your own personal interest at stake, because you are a minister in this government. For me, it takes the cake. And it's sad that since 2016, we have been on this matter with the minister. In 2016, I went on air and I told him, this your choice of Ali Modu Sheriff will come to disaster. On the day of the convention, I was in Port Harcourt. He had taken Ali Modu Sheriff to the secretariat as I was getting there. And that same day, he found out that Ali Modu Sheriff was ready to betray him and had told almost 5 other governors that he was going to make them vice president when he becomes presidential candidate. That was the day Nyesom Wike saw the truth in what we were trying to tell him. And he will see it again very soon. We are not a prophet, but these things are just things that are in history, and you will see that they will happen in that sequence. So for me, if you betray people or you do not support people who have made you, history will come back for you.
So they say no permanent friends, no permanent enemies. The escape routes that the politics of Nigeria works through. Let me ask you another question he raised there. He raised the question of the Tanimu Turaki group of the PDP. In In fact, he accused the media of being responsible for calling it a faction in that sense, that we describe faction, disagreement as faction, and challenged the Turaki group to say, okay, has INEC given you codes now to upload your candidate, alleging that he collected money and now he's stuck? When you hear such things, help us backtrack to what we're dealing with now, because as it stands, INEC has opened their doors to them. They're seen as the legitimate leadership of the PDP.
It's not today that we know that INEC is compromised. We have seen the INEC, Professor Josh Amukita was on the legal representation of President Tinubu in 2023. Professor Josh Amukita had a Twitter account that was supporting President Tinubu. So whatever you see coming out of INEC is not a surprise. There are many instances and reports of people who cannot register. So many untoward things INEC has done. I am from Edo State. Till today, we have petitions at the ICPC of Yeson Wike's cousin in Edo State, who I am aware of INEC officials who refused to go to the Resident Electoral Commission's office to submit their results. Instead, they went to go and submit it at the collation center because they knew he would manipulate it. We have him signed. We have a proof that was sent to South Africa to verify the signature of the result sheets, and it was clear that there were duplicate result sheets produced by INEC. We have petition, or rather, a non-governmental agency has petitioned ICPC, petitioned EFCC on this particular matter. So when it comes to INEC and what they are doing, I'm not surprised. Although I cannot say wholly that everybody in INEC is compromised, but there are compromised people in INEC. I make bold to say it. If you have followed the court judgment, just a very recent judgment of the appeal court held that the 608 NWC meeting, which suspended Kamaldeen Ajibade, SAN, suspended Senator Ayaun, by the way, is an expelled member of the PDP. The current secretary he's been expelled by the PDP because at the 608 NWC meeting, which the last appeal court said, and even made the clarification that the Supreme Court, while dismissing the 15th and 16th convention, did not in any way shoot down that the end of the 608 NWC meeting still stands. And at that meeting, Ayaun's expulsion, while also with the suspension, because you know there are two separate things that happened. He was suspended alongside 3 others. But the disciplinary committee's report, that's headed by Chief Tommy Kimi, was considered at that NWC meeting, and it upheld the report which said Ayaun stands expelled. But it put a caveat and said, pending the outcome of the case, because Ayaun had gone to court. And on the 12th of January 2026, the judge refused to grant Ayaun and upheld the decision of this marriage, which meant Ayaun is now, as we stand, an expelled member of PDP. So there's no way he can be secretary of PDP. No way. There's no way. I've written to the IG. The IG came out in a comment and said that it's not all petitions that are not criminal. It was a criminal offense for Ayaun, who had written a letter on the 17th of November 2024, yes, to INEC, then Mahmoud Yakubu, chairman, forwarding a judgment by no other person than Justice Peter Lifu, who at the time was acting in their favor, to give a judgment saying nobody from INEC should receive a letter that was not signed by Ambassador Ilya Damagu. And also, nobody should remove Damagu until the 9th of December 2025. Meanwhile, Ayaun now wrote another letter on the 3rd of November 2025 to INEC, introducing Abdurrahman, who is now the so-called chairman that they have. So how does INEC know Abdurrahman? Through the letter that was written on the 3rd of November. But let me tell you this. At the appeal court, Justice Oyenwem ruled, because Ajibade, who was in the class of that suspension, because 4 of them were suspended, Ajibade, Kamaldeen, Bature, and Osoha, held that Ajibade could not have, because Ajibade attempted to go to the appeal court to file proceedings to allow JB Daudi represent PDP. And he said, no, you cannot even come here because you have been suspended. And pending that suspension, you cannot take any action that is legal. And I do not see anywhere where that suspension was rescinded. This was in the first appeal court judgment that went to the Supreme Court. They appealed that judgment. The Supreme Court judgment that nullified the 15th and 16th November convention had to prongs. One of the prongs was to annul that convention, and the second prong was to uphold the judgment of the appeal court with regards to Ajibade and the others that were suspended. Now, do you remember there was a pendency in Ibadan of an appeal court? So that appeal court came after the Supreme Court, and that appeal court reiterated. In fact, the judge said, let me repeat verbatim, because he was the one that gave that justice. Was the same person that gave that judgment in the first case, and he was now the lead judge in the second appeal court judgment. And he said, listen, let me repeat verbatim. Ajibade remains suspended. I do not see anywhere where that suspension was there, and I do not even see where he was re-elected. This is a pronouncement of the appeal court, and it has not been appealed to today. So I don't understand why someone who is a life bencher, who understands the outcome of court judgments, is misreading and misleading. Because he is the FCT minister, he has power to control the police. He can get judgments. I'm telling you, the judgment that was given, the one that I'm relying on now, that Damagu could not be, was given by Honorable Justice Pitalifu, then trying to favor the Wike side, thinking that Damagu will remain with them. And today it has come back to haunt them, because the INEC itself is acting in disobedience of a valid court order that was specific. Do not receive any letter that Ambassador Damagu did not sign.
Yes.
Do not remove Damagu.
So that we can squeeze in as many questions as possible. So, from your presentation of your thoughts and insights, it appears that you align with the Turaki camp or faction. So I'm wondering, what's the plan for 2027 for your camp now, since INEC has recognized Professor Sandy Ono, the Wike's camp of side of the PDP. So what's the plan?
INEC has no power. INEC has no power to recognize anybody.
Who has the power?
In the Electoral Act, INEC has no power to. INEC does not have the power to recognize anybody. It will be clarified in the courts. I know that maybe, and like I will say this here, I don't have faith in the current judicial process that we have here. I have a little bit more faith when they go up to the appeal courts. But I will say this, INEC has no power, because INEC, in its filing in this current court, I read that filing. INEC said it recognizes Mao Habunwa as chairman of the BOT versus Adolphus Wabara. Now, the PDP's constitution is very clear. You cannot be chairman of BOT if you are not a member of the BOT. Mao Habunwa was not a member of the BOT. So how did he become chairman when he's not a member of BOT? That tells you the level of decadence in INEC. INEC had a letter that was written and sent by Ambassador Damagu and Sotoji, who was then acting secretary, which said that Ayahu, Bature, and Osoha on the 4th of November were suspended members. Why did it act on the letter sent to it by Senator Ayahu, knowing that Senator Ayahu, and as it stands, the court validated the statement. The court said that Ayahu remains suspended. Let me tell you the outcome of the last appeal court judgment, which hasn't still been appealed. The live issue of the caretaker committee was brought into the court, and the court said, look, this is a seemingly live issue. Knowing that Agomo acted ex partita, these are the words of the appeal court. It's there, acted ex partita, but that it cannot delve into the matter because the Supreme Court has already ruled on this matter. And anything built on that convention, which includes any committee, anything, which this is now stating the caretaker committee, anything that is built, any substructure built on this superstructure cannot stand. And we cannot delve into this matter because it's a dead matter.
All right. You've not really, Mr. Hilebo, so my question is, what's the plan for the Turaki camp? Are you supporting the ADC or NDC? Are you adopting another candidate from another party? What's the plan? What's the strategy?
We already have a candidate. Let me tell you, we already have a candidate. Our candidate is Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. And I'm very surprised that the FCT minister has not come out to support someone who made him a junior minister, someone who stood by him to become governor of Rivers State. I'm very, very surprised because it tells you how human beings are. I will not, and I will say this boldly, if the FCT minister has ever supported me in my life, I would not come out today and speak against him. I would never come out today and speak against him or work against him. So if PDP that he thinks and his supporters says they want to present Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Why is he not queuing up behind this idea? Because Goodluck Ebele Jonathan doesn't even need too much. It's his history. It is who he is. He is someone who has never been crazy about power. But when he gets to power, he does everything in the interest of people. Don't forget his very famous word, that I would rather cede power, that there's no life that is worth his ambition. And he showed this in practical terms in 2015 when people were sitting in his living room. He went inside his bedroom to call General Buhari and said, I cede and I congratulate you. People were shocked.
But Mr. Hilabo, the Turaki camp for some time now has been silent. Even ahead of the Ekiti election, the Turaki camp has been rather silent about its plan of action, especially since the last judgment that came through on the leadership tussle of the PDP. So it would seem as if what is going on now is just, hollowed arguments for relevance rather than any real fight, because it looks very much like the Turaki camp has lost to the Wike camp. Of course, which fielded a candidate in the Ekiti governorship election?
No, it wasn't. Let me be very.
Or Mr. Oluyode was Mr. Oluyode a Turaki candidate or a Wike candidate?
Let me be very good. Mr. Oluyode had almost even lost out in Ekiti. It was the director of legal of PDP. I am not in any camp. I am in PDP, and I don't support what Yeso Wike is doing. I am not in any camp. I support PDP. I know that the chairman of the BOT is Senator Adolphus Mwaba. I know that the INEC, with 2/3 majority, called for a INEC meeting after the Supreme Court and said and gave the Interim National Working Committee headed by Turaki powers to run the party after the Supreme Court judgment. So that's where we are. I don't have time to be taking sides with any faction, because it doesn't make any sense. And what Yeso Wike is doing, and what he did in his press briefing, was to tell the president that I've delivered. PDP cannot challenge you in 2027. That's exactly what he did. Instead of him facing what he is supposed to do as FCT minister, give us a brief on the FCT, tell us the performance.
But Mr. Hilabo, pardon me, Mr. Goodluck Jonathan, former president, with due respect to him and in fairness to him, has not said anything, has been non-committal about his acclaimed candidacy for the PDP in the 2027 election. He has not made any commitments towards the PDP whatsoever in any public forum.
Let me tell you about Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. In 2011, I, Charlie Boy, Dele Momodu, Omotola Motala, Chude Jidonwo, we did enough is enough protest. I sat down on the floor of the National Assembly to protest, to make the National Assembly bring Jonathan in as acting president through the doctrine of necessity. He was deputy governor to Alamisia when Alamisia was being prosecuted. He never showed that ambition to take over from Alamisia. When he was vice president, the same thing. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan is not somebody that is ambitious for power. Rather, he's ambitious for the growth and development of Nigeria. That's what we see in him. That is why we are seriously, emphatically doing everything possible to present him before Nigerians. And let me tell you this. Every candidate that is contesting today, apart from the only two people that fit the bill, that the entire North will come out and vote, knowing that he has a constitutionally framed one term for 4 years that he can run for, he can rule for. And I think the North will support him if he comes in, knowing how badly the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu government has performed. I've raised this again. I have not seen anything the government has done that has favored Nigerians. Nothing. This current government has not done anything. This is a Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. That when he was going to vote in 2015 with his wife, the card reader he introduced did not read him 4 times. Do you know what he said to the press? He told the press that we must trust the system. That he trusts the system. Even when the card reader was the president, the card reader is not reading him. And he comes out and says, trust the system. That's a man that we want to bring back to power. Can you compare Nigeria of 2015 to Nigeria of today?
Yeah. So, well, former President Goodluck Jonathan has not said anything. That is a fact.
He has not said anything against it either.
Yes, yes. I think this is the second time he's giving that. I will consult. So I don't know how long he's going to keep consulting. So we're waiting.
Because he doesn't want to come into muddied waters. That's what they are doing. They are muddying the waters.
A lot of people are saying they are dissuading him. Look, you've had your record. Let it rest. But I don't want to go there. The point is that the Turaki group has said, come be the candidate of the party. He has said he has not said anything, at least directly, that we are aware of. So let's talk about other things while we stay with the PDP. I listened to, I stand to be correct, that should be Professor Dinkali if I'm correct. I think I saw an interview online when he was saying that there is a plan by President Bola Tinubu to have a third term. In fact, he said there will be a third term. Now, his premise is simple. He said President Bola Tinubu, if he wins the re-election, is going to be there till 2031. And then the nuances from persons like Kwame Bamidele, who is talking about sponsoring the legislation, they say in 2020, in the 11th Assembly, where we're going to have a single term, 6-year single term of the presidency. And then the fears of whether or not the president, as he is now, if he wins re-election, will be eligible to contest that election or not. And he referenced the case of President Goodluck Jonathan, former President Goodluck Jonathan, the eligibility issue that the court has cited him. Do you believe, by any stretch of imagination, as somebody in the opposition, that there is a plan by President Bola Tinubu to have a third term? Some are even saying he wants to be live president.
Let me even go beyond my professor. Tinubu Kalu, someone I respect. I'll go beyond it. Tinubu is not looking for third term. Tinubu is looking for life presidents. And you know, this is the warning that we keep passing out, especially to my leader. Yes, Wike still remains someone I respect. This is the plan of Tinubu. And the same way we told you about Alimodu Sheriff, the same way we have warned severally about even all the chairmen you have brought into PDP, it's the same way I'm going to sound this one. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not looking to be a two-term president. He's looking to be a life president. And whether people realize this or not, I see all the trappings. We have slowly started seeing trappings of a police state. A journalist, Zainab, is still being held by the DSS. Where is former Governor El Rufai? He's constantly being left in prison. Omoyele Sowore every day is being arrested. We are only joking because very soon we will see what the manifestations of all these things. We are in a very precarious position. And if Nigerians know what is good for them, they will do everything possible to remove this cankerworm that we have as a government, because it has not favored any Nigerian I know, except those that are within the clique of the people, those that can form presidential agencies and get allocated budgets. Those are the ones that are benefiting from this government. I have not benefited from this government in terms of healthcare. I have not benefited from this government in terms of the road infrastructure. I have not benefited from this government. Listen, this government removed subsidy. In 2011, President Goodluck Jonathan removed subsidy and introduced Shopee, introduced UWIN, introduced a lot of things. Immediately, the Chibok girls were kidnapped. The president, through Okonjo-Iweala, introduced the Safe School programs, which meant that every school within a perimeter had a security, an amalgamation of security personnel that were protecting the perimeter of that school. What happened to that project? What happened to the Almanjiri project? Look at the Almanjiri project. We are hearing today there are budgets for Almanjiri projects that were meant to be domiciled in the north are having road projects in Ogun and Ondo states. Does it make sense? We have budgets, things that are written. We've had incidents with budgets 2024, 2025, 2026 budgets are running concurrently. It's madness going on in the country. The borrowing has continued unabated, yet we cannot see. You remove subsidy, you are borrowing. What is happening? And nobody can question. Look at the National Assembly that we say we have. There is a scandal that involves appropriation, and the National Assembly is turning down the opportunity to investigate it. And on your mandate, I call them a bunch of choristers. A National Assembly that in amending the Electoral Act removed an essential part of qualification that requires you to not submit forged educational qualification, removed it from the electoral. There are things that are happening that have left those of us that are concerned about the country dumbfounded. I'm not speaking because I'm a member of a political party. I'm speaking because I'm a Nigerian that cares deeply about the future of my country. I care very much about this country. This country has so much potential. But right now, do you know that Syria had a problem of ISIS. Afghanistan had a problem of just ISIS. Sudan had the problem of the Tuaregs. Nigeria has an amalgamation of more than 8 terrorist groups that are presently oppressing the country across board. You have Lukarawa, you have the bandits, and the bandits have different. There's one that's led by Toji. There's another one led by. Then you have ISIS West Africa. Then you have Boko Haram, and you have different factions of Boko Haram. How can one country survive all of this? Yet we sit down and we think that we have a country that we can all enjoy. We can't enjoy the country now.
All right. Mr. Hilebo, we have quite some time before we find out whether some of your analysis, or if you like, prophecies will come to pass, or perhaps, they will take another dimension in realization or in total failure. But we must thank you very much for your insights on the program. Mr. Anthony Ehilebo is a legal practitioner and PDP chieftain. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.